Here's a wild Austin homeless story.
Crosses made out of boulders. A sign, Rami Zaweda, is in the area. He's made his mark in the Westgate neighborhood in South Austin for years.
2 years of struggle.
Residents have spotted him building sculptures, taking a sledgehammer to city property, cutting down trees in the greenbelt with a chainsaw and machete, and screaming...
Chainsaw. He's got a chainsaw. He's running around in a greenbelt. That is on par with Seattle behavior. That is some Steve Irwin-esque stuff right there.
At all hours of the night.
He knows exactly how much to push before he pulls back. He knows what he can get away with.
Neighbors fought for him to get help, even testifying against him in court. On April 24th, Travis County Probate Court Judge Nicholas Chu stated Zaweda is mentally ill and is likely to cause serious harm to himself and others. He says he's suffering severe and abnormal mental, emotional, or physical distress, and it's deteriorating his ability to function independently. Judge Chu placed Zaweda on an order for temporary inpatient mental health services at the Ascension Seton Shoal Creek Hospital in downtown Austin. Residents thought he was finally going to receive help and they could start to restore the peace in their neighborhood. But that didn't happen.
All of a sudden, you'll just see him on the street and you thought he was in mental health facility. So to me, that's not okay.
Court documents say when a Smithville police officer pulled up to the front intake doors of the hospital, he opened the door to let Zaweda out. Zaweda started walking towards the entry doors and then turned and took off running into the parking lot. The officer went after him, but lost him.
How is he put in the position of being able to escape?
A warrant was issued for Zaweda's arrest. He was taken into custody on June 28th and bonded out through a bail bondsman the next day.
We were not notified when he was released, which is scary.
Residents in the Westgate neighborhood say things have been quiet there for a few months.
He has not done anything other than just make his crosses.
But Zaweda seems to have turned his attention to a neighborhood across the way.
He is retaliating harshly against them, probably for taking him, pushing the court case, probably for cleaning up his camp and disposing of some of his things.
I just don't sure why we have to suffer for one man.
The retaliation they're experiencing may be against Zaweda's modified bond conditions. He's supposed to stay 200 yards away from specific addresses in the neighborhood. He's also required to see a psychiatric provider and follow all the recommendations, take medication as prescribed, and is forbidden to possess firearms. Residents are begging for help again.
He's a big enough case. He's been in the news. He's been such a problem over here. It's not your average day or average variety of somebody that's struggling to get on through life. He's destructive. He's threatening. He's all those things. And we can't get it shut down. And I don't know why.
I mean, here's the reason you can't get it squared away. You're in Austin. You've got liberal judges. You've got liberal prosecutors that believe in justice reform. We don't have enough. There isn't enough mental health care, and there isn't enough force into treatment. This guy's got mental issues, and he's on some drugs, right? I mean, just period. Look at the guy. Guy's on meth. Let's be honest. The guy's on meth. He's doing some crazy meth. That seems to be the choice for folks that are really, really suffering. And maybe he's on a little meth and fentanyl. Who knows? Who knows? But it's this type of behavior. And when you bring a whole bunch of these people into a homeless center, you can imagine the amount of just nuttiness going on, right? When you bring this into a homeless center and you concentrate it in a neighbor, Ken Paxton sues Austin Homeless Center for threatening a community. Paxton claims the center as a magnet for drugs and crime. What kind of crime would that be? Well, let's read about it. Here we go. Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton is suing a Central Texas homeless center for allegedly operating as a common nuisance in violation of Texas law. According to a release, Paxton claims the Sunrise Homeless Navigation Center in Austin is a magnet for drugs and crime. Sunrise Homeless Navigation Center. The sun always rises here at the Homeless Navigation Center. It's located near an elementary school. Oh, that's a genius plan. That is stellar. Stellar. Have whacked out drug addicts, oftentimes sexual predators, near an elementary school. You know, that 7-year-old over there looking pretty tasty. Within a neighborhood where residents have reported public urination. Here we go. Here is our litany of public complaints about said Sunrise. You got urination, you got defecation, public defecation, and violence, the release says. The center offers humanitarian services like food and housing to those experiencing homelessness in South Austin. And I don't have an issue with that. What I have an issue with is if these centers don't, provide some public safety to the community from their residents. If they're not Johnny on the spot, I want to know why. And that's what Ken Paxton is saying, hey, you guys aren't doing enough to keep, not only our tax-paying residents safe from these lunatics on drugs, but you're not doing enough to keep them away from their own self-harming them out in the wild, doing a bunch of drugs. So it's a two-way street. So homeless centers, you need to get your acts together, but that's a very difficult task because you're dealing with people with massive mental issues on top of doing a bunch of drugs because they're self-medicating, because they're trying to work their way out of, being literally crazy, or they're just trying to numb all the pain that's going on. And none of those are good scenarios, right? Sunrise found out that Paxton filed a lawsuit against the center through the media and in response shared a statement. It's regrettable that the Attorney General Paxton took this route, especially during the week of Thanksgiving, but Sunrise intends to keep offering services to people in our community who need them. Not arguing that, but you got to keep, your people out of harm's way. And oftentimes they don't have any control. These navigation centers, they don't have any control on who gets brought in. They can say no, but they can't say, oh yeah, bring that guy in. That's just not what we're doing. So we are committed to being a good neighbor. Well, kind of ish, a good neighbor ish, sort of. We will continue to work every day to support Joslyn Elementary School, our neighborhood, and our entire community. Yeah, but the two don't really go together because all these folks are whacked out of their minds on drugs, and then they need housing, and then you put them all in one place, and you get the story that we just talked about. So here we go. Now we're really getting to it. Through an OAG investigation, residents testified that they've witnessed people who frequent the center. All right, here we go. All right. Frequent the center, menacing passerbys with machetes. How many podcasts have I done talking about people running around Seattle with machetes or swords? That's a real thing because people are lunatics and they're like, I need that sword in my life because I'm a whacked out drug addict, homeless, and I'm just going to go around, just willy-nilly with the sword doing my thing. Here's the other thing. Masturbating, so jerking off while assaulting female pedestrians. That is enough where there's been multiple instances of that. Masturbating while assaulting female pedestrians. That is just quite a mental image, isn't it? It really is. It's like, okay, could have gone all day without thinking about what that looks like. And breaking into local homes and businesses. Yeah, that's special. So just basically, some mid-level crime with, assaulting female pedestrians, maybe whacking somebody with a machete now and then. With the center being next door to Joslyn Elementary School, students and staff had also seen the homeless. This is what your children in Austin are learning. These are important life skills. This is why you don't want to do drugs, kids, because you're going to end up like this and you will be seen walking around naked. All right. Yep. Adults walking around naked because they're crazy and they're doing drugs. They get psychotic. Yeah, I'll take off all my clothes and run around. This will be genius. Walking around naked, fornicating. They just have sex in public. How many stories have we had of, elementary school kids? What are they doing over there? All right, we got to go inside. Recess is over. Recess is over, children. Because you got two people just going at it. Because the meth just gets them going. Crazy meth energy, right? So we got walking around naked, fornicating, relieving themselves in public. Oh, that's nice. Engaging in open drug use. Just basic, debauched human behavior. That's what we're talking about, aren't we? Just the lowest of the low behavior. But these people are whacked out of their minds and on drugs, and often a combination of the two, simultaneously. That's just what we're doing. Drug activity and criminal behavior facilitated by this organization have hijacked an entire neighborhood. So Ken Paxton is saying, hey, you know what? By operating a tax-funded drug paraphernalia giveaway, they're saying that this place gives out drug paraphernalia, and they often do, because that is the whole concept of harm reduction, which is all harm, no reduction, which means, we don't want them to get hepatitis. Don't want them shooting up with a dirty needle. Let's give them clean needles so they can keep their drug addiction going without hepatitis C. Funded drug paraphernalia giveaway next to an elementary school. This organization is threatening students' health and safety and unjustly worsening daily life for every single resident of the neighborhood. We will shut this unlawful nuisance behavior down. Could you imagine that happening in Washington State, where I'm from Seattle? Hell to the no, that would never happen. Oh, that's not compassionate, Sean. You can't shut it down. We will shut this unlawful nuisance behavior down. And that's what it is. And that's what should happen. The release states that the school has been forced to lock down in recent years. Not shocking. Hey, it's like the recess, right? Lockdown in recent years due to the behavior of some individuals from Sunrise. Yeah, you get these people together, and you especially get them in big groups, like a home setting. A group home setting, and that's essentially what these are, is with individual rooms, right? Paxton asked for the court for a temporary injunction which could prevent Sunrise from operating in the future. Shut it down. If you got enough of these instances, you got to shut it down, or else the center needs to provide some kind of ability for residents to have input on, hey, this is a no-go. You got to control your folks. And instead, that's just not happening. Since 2015, Sunrise has been the largest provider of homeless services in Travis County and has helped more than 4,275 people move into safe, supportive housing. How many of them have stayed there? How many of them have not gone back out on the streets? That's the one statistics you always hear, and it sounds stellar, but most of these people can't get sober. A small percentage aren't there because they're crazy or because they're on drugs, but those numbers are small and few and far between. And that's why the Attorney General of Texas wants this shut down. Not because he hates homeless people or he hates drug addicts or he hates crazy people, because it is a threat to the community. Simple as that. I wish more states did this, because it holds communities accountable if they have a center like this. Because here in King County, in Washington, Bellevue, where I am, county just throws these homes in. And then all of a sudden you get a bunch of nut jobs walking down your streets. And then you wonder why some crime goes on. It's like, how did that happen? I don't understand the cause and effect here. How did that happen? Well, you brought a bunch of whacked out drug addicts that have been homeless in Seattle over to Bellevue, and they bring the same behavior patterns. Not a shocker, right? So Hilbrink noted that because Sunrise is a faith-based ministry through Sunrise Community Church, it's protected under the First Amendment in U.S. Religious Land Use and Institutionalized Persons Act, as well as the Texas Religious Freedom Restoration Act. Well, we'll see how that works out in court, because if a judge sees that, hey, you got a bunch of whacked out nut jobs running around with swords, masturbating, beating on women, fornicating in public, and if a judge can see that, and all you got to do is just roll some YouTube, roll some TikTok, roll a little bit of Instagram. Hey, here's what's going on in Austin, Texas. It's pretty hard to say that, no, that's not really a thing. That's not really going on. But that's what the activists want you to believe. That's what the churches want you to believe, is that everything's fine. It's all good. Well, nobody can really control these people, right? You just can't. And if we're not involuntarily putting them into treatment, expect much of the same. But this is an interesting approach for Texas suing a homeless shelter. I mean, that's some pretty wild stuff. I mean, it's an attorney general actually protecting its citizens. That's such a novel concept. It's so weird, right? It's reasonable. That's reasonable. That's what should be happening. That's why more people are moving into Texas. Yeah, Austin's a little bit wonky. It's a little bit liberal, but at least you've got an attorney general there that can drop the hammer, right? Wild stuff. All right. That's it for me on this one. Thanks so much for being here. I'll catch up with you in the next one. Bye for now.